And hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for agreeing to this, and we really appreciate you.
Oh, no. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Um,
Go ahead.
Tell us your title.
Okay. I'm Myrna Blanchard. I'm the Executive Director of Human Capital for Cleburne ISD, which means I oversee the HR department.
All right, and how many years of total experience do you have in the field?
So in education, I have 26. In HR specifically, I've been in HR for 5 years now.
5 years. Okay, and what journey led you to HR? Like your class, did you start out as a classroom teacher? I know I was a member of Beams.
Yeah.
And I saw, yeah, some people were telling me, Bridget was telling me that you had worked in
Yeah.
Beams. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, I started my education journey actually even before college. Didn't know I would be in education, but somebody asked me if I was interested in a job, and so I started actually before college doing after school care, and got really involved with before and after school care, summer school care. Became the director for those programs, and then somebody told me I was really good at it, so I ended up loving it actually
Yeah.
and really loved the more elementary students. So I taught pre-K, kindergarten, and second grade. I did that 8 years total in 1 year in a private school and then the rest in public schools. And then I also worked as a director, and that's where I was working with Beam. I was a bilingual ESL coordinator, moved into the director role for that same program, and that was 8 years. And then I took a couple years off, almost a couple years off. I had a young child, and I wasn't spending any time with him, and I just was like, this is not going to work for me. So I took almost a couple years off, and then worked my way back into education. Been an instructor for UTA, a professor for Texas Wesleyan. I supervised student teachers at UTA. That was a lot of fun. And then I went into assistant principal, and then into HR. And then I've done some consulting work with different organizations, a research organization, and some other things that I've done. So,
While going to school and getting your doctorate. Wow, that's impressive.
oh, thanks. I mean, it came with a lot of sacrifice, but I have a good family. So,
Yeah, no doubt. We find that you definitely need that extra support.
yeah.
So I'll start out with the recruitment piece of it. And how do you determine the most effective recruitment channels for different roles? Like I know, like teachers usually they do college fairs, like you mentioned, partnerships with universities.
Yeah. So I think I look at for if it's teachers or any kind of professional positions, I really look at the hard to fill areas. And so I look at which universities have those programs and are graduating a good number of people in those programs. So for example, if we're low in bilingual teachers, well, I know which universities offer bilingual certification and which ones are really good at it. And those are the ones that I target. Right now, I'm looking for who's good at special ed because that is not a certification, interestingly enough, that you can get at all universities, just that they offer the coursework and the certification. Now, you can always test for it, right? But I'm looking for people who actually also have the coursework because that's also very important. The other thing I do for non-certified positions a lot of times is I'll look at the specialized areas. So for instance, if it's HVAC, then I'm looking at where the job boards that most HVAC people will look. That's a very specialized area that pays a whole lot more than education. So I'm looking for somebody who is right coming out of their technician training, and especially for CTE coursework. CTE, somebody who can teach and do certification for HVAC is not common. So then I'm looking at how do we build them. But yeah, I'm looking at those things. If it's like principal coordinators, we have professional organizations that will post that gets a lot of traction, so they'll be able to see those things.
Have you found that it's because you this just brought me up, but that the CTE teachers, huh? Like what you said, like trying to find someone that's competent in the field, but also that would be able to transition into teaching because that is a specialty too. Has that been difficult to fill those positions?
It is, and if you don't have a really good CTE kind of leadership, that that really knows how to find those people and how to really make it enticing for them to come. It's hard to make them come because they can make more money out in the field of those industries. But a lot of times what we can do is we can talk to them about, the time that you have off. It's not weekends, for the most part. It's not nighttime. You'll get to spend time with your kids. Your kids can go to our schools. And so that will be, depending on, their journey in their own personal life, that can be very much a draw for them.
Yeah, and then they can moonlight on the side. Like if
Mhm.
so, they could also moonlight because they have that extra time.
Yeah.
Um, that's good points. Can you describe a time when you had to fill a critical position quickly?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing in the last, I would say 4 to 5 years has been special education. I think there's been a lot of teachers getting hired that don't, that we have a lot of unfunded mandates or underfunded mandates from the state and state and federal. And what ends up happening is, you know, um, they don't have all the resources they need. And I'm not just talking like things that they would use in the classroom, but even people to support students that really need a little bit more support. So, yeah, I think special ed for the last 4 to 5 years has been the most challenging, and they have tended to be the highest turnover. They also have um, them have been where they get into the education field, they start working for us, and they quickly think, I don't think I want to do this. And so they haven't been in other industries, or they have been in other industries, I should say, but they haven't been in education where they really understand that we have contracts and those contracts last for the whole year, and you'll get your certificate taken away. Well, a lot of those we are hiring without certificates, or they're on an intern cert or emergency permit that we've paid for. And so they're like, that's okay. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
So it's not a large majority, but it hits in one of our neediest areas, which is special education. So while it's not like it's huge, it feels bigger because of the need of our students and our staff in that area. So
No, that makes sense. And I literally just interviewed Dr. Jones, and she was mentioning very similar to what you were saying about the special education field
yeah.
and just retainment, teacher retainment, and trying to give them resources and being literally everything you just said, like underfunded. So y'all
Yeah.
are aligned, even if y'all haven't even spoken in that
We're
regard.
not
So
talking about
on
that.
that regard. Now, are each campus within a district given the autonomy to employ their own recruitment strategies, like maybe like the principal when it comes to specific teacher roles and
Yeah, so I think the district will define teacher assignments, right? These are how many assignments you have. These are depending on the scheduling. This is what you have. What happens a lot at secondary is they have a little bit more flexibility in some respects because course selection has a lot to do with that. So if you have a lot of students who are wanting to enroll in music and we have an opportunity to expand our music program, then we might do that. So they might get an extra music one. We might decrease another FTE full-time equivalent. So that's like one teacher. So we'll decrease that to be able to provide a different area, or we'll just add something if we need it. So flexibility wise, it's really dependent on our numbers of students. Starting in January, we're looking at cohorts moving up. So we're looking very carefully at if we move the students that are currently here up, what does that look like staffing wise for the next school year, so we can start budgeting for it. However, I say within that scope, if I know as a principal I have 40 FTEs to hire for 40 teachers as an elementary, let's just say it's elementary, then I know within that I have some flexibility. I can, as long as they're certified in those areas, I can move my first grade to fourth grade as long as they're certified to do so. And that is the autonomy of the principal for sure.
oh yeah. Um, I don't remember my onboarding here, but because I know some school districts, you know how you have to take a survey, or do we do any selection tools or assessments to find the most effective for predicting job performance? I don't remember.
We don't have like a screener kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have one here in Cleburne. What we do have is we have a virtual interview option. It's called
Oh, okay.
Interview Stream is the service that we use, and it's integrated into our application system. So as we send out, position, those people can be required to all do the video interview, and we select between, I would say, 3 to 5 questions. Kind of gives us a good screener for those questions, but also for we can narrow down who we want to do an in-person interview with.
Do you like that approach? Like just as the HR person, you like that seems like it would be, yeah.
I
I
do. Now, I've gotten into some things, not very often, but there have been times when I've interviewed somebody who did not do well. Um, on the interview screener, I still interview them if I'm really interested because everybody, I mean, it's different modalities, it's different ways of expressing yourself as an interviewee. So I have, if I'm really interested in them, even if they don't do that well in the screener, the online interview, I still interview them. And there are some people who did beautifully in the
yeah,
screener
yeah.
and do not really come through in person. So it's real interesting, right? You still have to do,
Right.
I think, multi levels of screening.
Right,
Right.
right. And
And
you
they're
probably
like,
have good instincts, right? From all the people
yeah,
you interviewed,
calling references, calling their most recent employer. Who
references.
are they employed with right now? Calling them. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. What about the onboarding? What are the essential components of an effective onboarding program, like that we look for, like during our onboarding process?
Yeah. So what we try to achieve is that they feel comfortable with the major things that are going to affect them as an employee first, right? So do you understand how to access your benefits? Do you understand where you're going to access your pay information? Those are the things that when you're just getting hired, that's what you're worried about.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do I get access to my email? Those are the things. So we try and
get
uh,
paid. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and then support them with any documents that they need to bring because a lot of times we have to verify, right? We pay on years of experience a lot of times. So, and that's in probably most all positions in our district. So, transcripts, those are important because that provides levels of pay as well. And then there's requirements by the state and the federal government. So being making sure that they have an easy communication um, kind of comfort with us to be able to get those things to us quickly to be able to process them. And then once they come on, once we've got that done, it's really, hey, let me show you how to access these tools that you're going to need. And then how do you contact your supervisor and make sure that they give you what you need at the campus level or at the department level.
nice. And when it comes to the competency piece, what role does HR play in designing and updating the compensation structure?
Yeah, so HR is compensation. They're the ones that set compensation, of course, at the direction of the school board and the superintendent. So we work within the parameters that they set, but we also suggest. So as we're looking at trends, as I'm looking at trends, or I'm thinking back, hey, last year we gave, for example, we have the teacher retention allotment. So teachers got, in some cases, a $5,000 raise. So what I'm looking at for next year is, you know, we'll just stick to the schedules for example, the salary schedules that we have, but then the raise will not necessarily go to teachers. They do get a step increase, but it'll really go to the people who did not get that raise. You kind of looking at equity, looking at where do I want to be 5 years from now? How can I sustain the budget with compensation increases within some parameters, right? So like
Yeah.
last year, we were told at what the increase for the TRS healthcare was going to be. Well, you got to take that into consideration. If I give you a raise, but the healthcare is increasing anyway, do we really need to consider that in our compensation plan? Because it might, if I give you just the raise that I thought about and didn't think about what it's going to cost you if you take healthcare, then you might not even be getting a raise. You might be paying us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, no. That will get, especially if you have a family.
Yeah.
Like it could add up, it could get real pricey. As
I
far as
think
like
too,
evaluate,
compensation is kind of a whole package, right? So when you're thinking about compensation, you're thinking about leave days. Those are all things that are part of your compensation package, your benefits, the ones that we pay for, the life insurance that we pay for
yeah,
you, the things that you elect, the things that you do not elect. The benefits are also a big part of your whole compensation package. And then
yeah.
any incentives, stipends, sometimes we've done retention incentives, the master's stipend that comes
Yeah,
out.
masters. I think I like that one the most here that they don't already incorporate it into your salary. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a little boost that you get.
Oh, it's kind of
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. I remember thinking that when I got here, I was like, that's nice. Because
Yeah.
you
And
oftentimes don't see it.
I was excited that me as an administrator could still qualify for it because in all the previous districts I've worked for, you cannot. I mean, once you're an administrator, you don't even qualify. So I was
Yeah.
excited. Like, hey, I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
to.
yeah. Administrators, you kind of don't get really.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get raises. You don't get raised because anyway. So what about, because I want to respect your time and we're like at 12 minutes. What
Okay.
performance evaluation methods do you consider the most effective and why?
So I think ongoing, whatever the method is, it's ongoing coaching is what's most
Uh,
effective.
okay.
Ongoing feedback. I really ascribe to that. All of us want to know how we're doing. Even if we're doing well, we want to know if we're hitting the targets, right? We want to know so we know to keep doing it that way. And then I also think that what's most effective about that is it really rises the motivation of your other employees. So if you're keeping accountability, if you're keeping your standards high, and you are addressing concerns as they show up confidentially with that person, not with the whole group, right?
Uh-huh.
Everybody, y'all need to start being on time. Well, if you say that, then your employees who are never on time think that it's a widespread problem and they're not so bad, right? So they're not even looking at themselves. And then you'll have somebody who's really good at attendance, really good about being on time, but they were maybe not on time this week, and then they start feeling bad about it. Like, you don't want to do that. So you want to do specific all the time, just specific feedback ongoing to your employees. And then when you have concern, you want to be able to give them an opportunity to correct, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to them self-reflect and make plans for how they're going to meet expectations, right? And so I think that is the most effective. Now, the tools that we use, t-tests, some kind of rubric, those kinds of things are just the outcome of should be the outcome of ongoing feedback and observation and reflection for the whole year. So I don't believe in a one, at the end of the year you get one thing. I believe you've gotten communication throughout the year to let you know how you're doing.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Very great point. As far as dismissal and terminations, how do you ensure that dismissals are legal and within compliance of what you're able to do?
I think my role and what I'm good at for the districts is that I break down the process for people. So I
Uh,
really think if something's happening that's not really best practice or is not legal, then I think, okay, where did we miss informing that supervisor of how to do this correctly? So I take more proactive actions. For instance, and this is important for any supervisor, right? But if you're at the district level, you're trying to think like, how can I put in front 2, 3 months in advance of things that supervisors are gonna need to know and do well. How can I back that up and think through how do I train them along the way? And so, like for instance, at Empowering Leaders, which is our monthly administrative team, right, our instructional leaders meeting, I've been doing scenarios. So I call it situational leadership.
oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm focusing on different scenarios. So you have this scenario. Where do you find it in policy, right? Because I want people to know what the policy says. And where do you, what would your, what are some things you can say in response? And then we worked through even scenarios. We worked through one yesterday where it was like the policy was vague. And I really emphasize that leadership is very much about situational awareness. So where it's vague and somebody is, for instance, telling you cease and desist, you're violating this copyright code, this da 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 da. That person knows sounds like they know a whole lot more than me. My situational awareness is not going to be like, oh, the policy says don't do, you don't have a case. I'm going to say, I really don't. In my head, I'm situationally aware. So I'm going to say, I really don't understand this. They sound like they might understand it more than I do. I'm going to go get some expert help, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to go ask my mentor how this is usually handled. And so those are the things that I work through with situational leadership with the empowering leaders. The other thing I do is right? I'm already thinking timelines. I'm telling them timeline wise what needs to be done for contracts that are going to be renewed at the end of the year, where they back that up. If they have concerns, how they address those concerns, the opportunity for the employee to know that you're concerned and be very specific, the opportunity for the employee to correct and meet expectations, and the opportunity to have a real conversation. Am I meeting those goals? And if not, what's next steps? So
Yeah, I think I like the most how you said you use situational scenarios, because oftentimes you're right, in leadership, instead of just over speaking, you should just say, like how you said in your head, like, let me get back to you on that. I'm
yeah,
not real sure. That way you won't say something that compromises,
right.
your position, or you speak out of turn. But it sounds like, seriously, like you know what you're doing,
Oh,
and and very valuable tool to have here. So, and I thank you so much, because I want to again respect your time, and we're lucky to have you, and welcome.
thank you.
Hopefully
I love
everybody's
it here.
inviting. Yeah.
Yes.
And I sounds like I said, you and Dr. Jones, she literally said mirror for mirror what you said
That's
about
awesome.
special ed. So,
That's awesome. She's my accountability partner, and she's also
oh,
here. And she goes, you haven't called me, and you're my accountability partner. And I said, it's because I don't need to come here first. I just need to go to your campus first because I get stuck here if I come.
yeah,
That's good. They paired me up with a good accountability partner. I love
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. Y'all are speaking the same language too.
Oh,
Literally everything you said. So
good.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Good luck. If anything you need,
Thank you.
just let me know. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.